Greetings, YouTube. Today I'll be talking about Billy, a book about Billy Connolly, which is called the #1 bestseller, The Complete Life Story of a Comic Genius by Pamela Stephenson. And while I normally have a problem with people writing biographies about others while they're alive, figuring if the person wants to write an autobiography, let them write their own autobiography. Don't be writing things about someone's life while they're still alive. Let them speak. The author is his wife. I'm okay with this one. She also has a degree in psychology, which gives her a unique position to actually see inside his psychology to a deeper degree than your average person is going to have. So, I was actually surprised to find out that Billy Connolly was born in 1942. I didn't think he was that old. I didn't. Because he has a young soul, I guess, because it definitely doesn't come across as being that old. And I think the man is very funny, and I've enjoyed him both as an actor and as a comedian, and as a voice work. He's done voice work for animation as well. And I enjoyed this book thoroughly. It covers his early childhood. He had a very unstable household life. His father was in Second World War in India serving. His mother one day, when he was like 4 or something, just up and left, leaving 2 children alone in an apartment by themselves. She just gone. Didn't tell anyone. He went on to be living with some aunts, one of whom was incredibly abusive and eventually institutionalized for schizophrenic paranoia. So she was horrible. He went to Catholic schools where he was deeply abused by some of the people there. And he was sexually molested by his father for years. He had a really rough go. And he turned that native intelligence and anger from his childhood, because he was very bright even if he wasn't a great academician, into a comedy career. Initially, he was a musician. I didn't know that. I actually didn't know he was a banjo player, which is kind of bizarre. It struck me as like, banjo? I don't think of banjo when I think of Scottish people, but banjo. And he turned that into being a comic genius. Observational comedy for the most part. Seeing the world around him from a unique perspective and being able to just ramble on forever on any topic. Does that sound familiar to you at all? Though I can't make any money at it. But he became an alcoholic. Not a real shock. The guy was playing huge numbers of tour dates and dealing with the stress of his childhood abuse and anxiety and depression and post-traumatic stress disorder. And he wasn't getting the help he needed. And he turned to alcohol, which isn't a shocking turn of events. My father didn't deal with his childhood abuse and his anxiety and depression, and he became an alcoholic. Just as his father had been an alcoholic, and his father had been an alcoholic. We have a long line of alcoholics in my family. I'm the first one that isn't. And so I really enjoyed the story. But ultimately, I found myself disturbed and kind of let down by the book, because there's a whole lot of people that benefit financially from Billy Connolly's anger. And I think the book was written in 2001, so he's a full-blown adult with kids and multiple houses and a world-spanning career and a healthy relationship, but he still hasn't processed his anger. Now, he's working it out every day on that stage, but he still is a victim of it. And at the end, he talks about doing an autograph signing, and some guy walks up and says that, "My aunt taught you." And he goes, "Oh, who it was?" And he says, "Rosie so-and-so. One of the women that abused him when he was physically and mentally as a child in Catholic school. I mean, severe abuse. She tortured students." And Billy Connolly loses it. He starts screaming at this guy. He's not handling the anger. And there's an entire retinue of people that work for him that make money off his anger. And there's an entire audience of fans that they get a benefit from his anger, and I'm one of them. And that makes me feel dirty. That I'm getting something from this person suffering who isn't processing his anger. It makes me feel bad. Because I was reading this and I'm like, I need to really look up some of his routines, because there's some of them are, quite a few of them are available on YouTube. And now I don't want to watch them. I'm feeling very problematic about laughing at his jokes now, because I know where they're coming from. He's still suffering. But on the other side of the coin, it's his choice. If that's how he wants to process his anger, that's how he does it. But sitting at an autograph desk yelling at some complete stranger because you haven't processed the anger that is at his aunt is not healthy, because that poor schmuck didn't have anything to do with it. You had every right in the world, by Lagana, every right in the world to be angry at that woman that tormented him. But no right at all to yell at her niece, or her nephew rather. So, there you go. It's a good book, but I walked away ultimate feeling bad. Bad for the author and bad about myself, because the reality is that I took away entertainment from someone else's pain. And I have to process that on my own and decide if I can actually laugh at his stuff, because he has the right to process that on his own the way he wants to. I cannot take away his agency, even if I don't think it's a healthy course. I also don't have to involve myself in that process if I don't want to. And that's my decision. So, a good book, insightful. The author has the ability to be insightful. His life was very interesting, or is very interesting. The man's still alive. He's known a lot of interesting people. A lot of interesting people really like him. Just getting to be able to pal around with Bobcat Goldthwait, Robin Williams, Steve Martin, that's just awesome. He get to play with George Harrison. You know what I mean? That's just Ringo Starr. That's just awesome. But he also hasn't finished his process. But again, who of us have?